first things first, Coach, congratulations. What a day.
Yeah, what a day. It was a emotional roller coaster for
Yeah.
about an hour.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, I think we all anticipated Jefferson Cass in the end, but, there's a lot of good teams in 5A. A
Oh
lot
yeah.
of, you had to, you couldn't look past. Like, what was that message? I mean, I know it's hard and you say, we got to focus on this team, but how do you really get your kids to like do that?
We started preaching that process talk. There's a process behind what we got to do. So every day we're talking about, when we get to Saturday, the process is this: we got to get to the gym, weigh in. That's step one of the process. Okay, now we go to focus on Locust Grove. That's step two of the process. And those kids bought in. It was pretty cool to watch them do that because, going into it, the guys knew we were missing some guys. And I think they were really nervous about that, but they understood that there's a process that has to be followed to be successful. And they went through the process of Locust Grove, and then who's next? Okay, Woodland was next. We had to focus on them because they're not a pushover either. Yeah, they lost to Cass, but they got some really good kids on that team. And if you look past them, you're gonna end up doing something you don't want to do.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you brought up the Woodland match because, and I don't want to gloss over Locust Grove match, but the Woodland match, you guys got pushed. I mean, you're
Oh,
down, then you come back, but you get some decisions, up top, and Sammy Brown came through with a huge decision.
yeah.
But we're talking a close duel heading into the last handful of matches.
Yeah, I mean, they matched up well with a lot of our kids. They had their top wrestlers were like, Santora was matching up with Dollar. I mean, and
Yep.
Santora's a tough wrestler, and then we knew up top that, Luke is going to have to wrestle Higdon. Higdon's not a pushover.
Right.
And then you look at Wilson up top with Sammy. I mean, he was what, state runner up last year.
Right.
So I mean, you're
And
looking at
heavy. And Sammy's down at 220. I mean,
Sammy cut some weight for me, to weigh in at 215. So he
right.
was, a little less than, he typically would have been.
Well, and that's
Um,
tough. I mean, you get down to 215 and then coach asks you to go back up against that big guy.
yeah. Well, the good thing is, by the time we got to the Woodland match, he was already back up to about 225.
So he's
It
doing
was,
okay. Good.
yeah,
Yeah.
he packed some carbs in quickly.
Very
So
good. So you got to those last couple of matches. How comfortable were you feeling? You're getting ready to hit, Bellardo and McDonald at the end of that duel. That had to make you feel comfortable, even though it was close.
yeah, yeah. Well, the starting weight made me feel really comfortable because I knew, really, if you look at our lineup right there in that middle area is, from about that, 44 range to the right around the 57 range. That's probably our weakest
Right.
area. Um, and I knew that, okay, if we start in the middle of that, so I can pretty much see what's going to happen, and I can go from there. So
Right.
when you got like four guys up top, and then you got, Dallas and Roman and Dollar, you feel pretty comfortable that, hey, we can limit some bonus points and grab some bonus points.
Right. Right. So you guys finish up that Woodland match. You catch your breath. And now it's the next step in the process, as you said, right?
Yeah.
So what was that message as that duel's getting ready to start with Cass?
Well, I'll tell you, I sat down. We sat down with the guys, and I went from 106 all the way up to heavyweight, and I basically told every kid what their job was, and they all understood that, hey, I may not win this match, but my job is not to give up a major here.
Mhm.
My job's, not to get pinned here, or do my best to maybe try to give up a tech. And we knew in some places that they were going to get pins. Like
Mhm.
McKnight's going to get his six. Tyler, that is, he's going to get his six.
Yep.
And Zach, if they put him against our weaker guy, he's going to get his six. Camp, we were banking on those those points being sixes for them. But the other guys that knew that, hey, if I get six, I have to get six. It's not a if, I have to get six.
Right.
That's your Sammy Brown, that's your Luke Cochran, that's Broman and Chaz, like those guys.
Well, and the first one up for you was Creed Thomas. I mean, you guys are down 9-0, and it comes to Creed, and I bet that expectation is we need bonus, and
Yes.
and he ends up getting 5, not 6, but
Right.
but that's the message to those kids.
Yeah, it is, and I was talking with my coach. I said, look, if we can get 4 of the 5 matches from 65 to heavyweight, I feel pretty confident. And I knew I needed it. I thought I needed about 18 points from 90 up, and I got 17. So I felt pretty good there, because that was my one spot where I had to move a kid around. I had to move him, and I moved
you inserted Nolan Martin into the lineup, right?
Yeah, well, he was going to wrestle no matter what.
Okay.
But what helped us out, was winning the flip. So they had a decision: do we put Dunn at 90 or do we move him to 215
to avoid Cochran?
That's right, and I had the ability to, I just move Cochran wherever he is.
That's right,
and that's what we did, and ultimately I think that's what won us that match, was that 215 match with getting that pin. That was huge. That's a toss-up match, that really is.
It is. I mean, and you make, like, after 7 matches, you guys have, I think, what, 22, and they've got what, 15, but now you're moving to, Lee Camp and Jake Craps and some of those kids on the bottom. How comfortable were you feeling kind of at the halfway point that it was working the way you wanted it to work?
I would be lying to you if I told you that I didn't feel comfortable. I felt real comfortable.
Okay.
Because I had these teams. I had the team score written down from a week ago, that it was going to be that exact score at that point of the match. So I expected to give them 6 there, and I knew I had Roman coming. I knew I had Chaz coming. I'm like,
right.
At that point, I'm like, this match is almost out of hand going into the 126 match. You got Tucker and that Joker's, Rowdy Duck's a pretty dang good wrestler. And we kind of figured that was going to happen, that they were going to either way both of them, Craps and Duck, at 26 and move Craps to Dallas, which is what they did. And ultimately that played into our favor. I mean, it really did. Because, if I were doing that differently on their side, I would have kept Craps at 26 and try to get my 6 there and hope Rowdy doesn't give up a fall at 32. And then you look at it that way, then that whole match flips and they win by 2,
Well, we talked about it all along. Matchups matter. Bonus points matter. All of those things. Where it starts, who gets the flip,
yes,
all so important into what's going to happen in the outcome. What I guess what was the conversation after the celebration with the team? You're just, you and the assistant coaches, you're having a conversation with them about kind of, what they just accomplished, because Kaz is a super good team.
Well, I'm going to tell you that it took me a little bit to have a conversation with anyone, because I couldn't contain my emotions at that point. I was my eyes were leaking a little bit, as they say.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, man, it's just, because look, I'll tell you, before we got to duels this weekend on Tuesday, I had a 57 hole. I had a 75 hole. And people talk about second chances a lot. Well, both of those kids had, decided, hey, I don't want to wrestle this year. And I'm sitting there Tuesday. I'm like, you know what? I gotta pull something out of my butt here. Get those guys to come back. And Dom Haynes had been out for a while, so I talked to him, and that's another whole nother story for another time. But he came back out. He was getting ready to go out to Tulsa and wrestle. If that tells you, he was going to leave Wednesday.
Wow.
And all of those guys said, "Yeah, coach, we'll be there." And they all came to practice, and it was like the team just went, boom, just like gelled together like that real quick. And then you get afterwards, man. I mean, talking to those guys after the fact, it was sweet. It was sweet because you know, I listen to Lucas sometimes on there, and that joker's funny. And I, when your guys hear that they're not picked to win, there's a little
Mhm.
chip on your shoulder, and that's a good
Absolutely.
thing.
Right.
A lot of those guys take offense to it, just because they think they're better than that, and as they should. They should do that.
Absolutely.
It's
Right.
it's a motivational factor for them. Yeah, and we got to we finally got, we had individual classrooms for everybody, and uh, the conversation was more of I'm proud of the way you guys fought. Proud of, there's a lot of adversity that we had to go through this year. I mean, when you lose one of your best wrestlers in Dindy,
Yeah.
that's a tough loss there. I mean, you're looking at a state champ that you're not going to have, and then
Right.
you lose Cat Benson. Same kind of boat. I mean, he could be a state placer this year, and we don't have those two guys. That can put a load on some people's shoulders on that team. But
Yeah.
I'm still almost at a loss for words of what to say, because I know how good Cass is, and they do a great job over there, and it's and they're great guys too. I mean, so the conversation will probably continue into Monday and Tuesday about how proud I am for them, but we'll start the transition into, hey, we got to get ready for region now, type
Well,
thing.
and that actually is my final question to you is like how long do you allow them to kind of just absorb it? And then, I mean, the goal is still there for a lot of them to win
Yes.
an individual state title. They haven't done so yet necessarily in some of the cases. And, I mean, like we got to, we still have goals in front of us.
That's right. They have until the until 3:45 on Tuesday. I gave them a Monday off to recover, to get their bodies back right, because a lot of them are banged up and sore and hurt. So they get a 3-day weekend, with no competition coming up over this upcoming weekend. I thought it would be good to get a 3-day weekend in there,
Yeah.
and then keep them fresh, and then come Tuesday practice time, the mindset changes, in terms of, it's a little more about me now, and if I take care of me, I take care of the team. So
Mhm.
that's kind of that's going to be the process. The process starts over again, reset, and we get after it.
Well, Coach, congratulations. Lucas and I have talked about all year about Camden, Buford, you guys, Cass, four just absolutely fantastic programs. We knew we were going to get some absolute just battles, and you know,
Yeah, it
your duel
was.
didn't disappoint.
Oh my gosh, it was great. And it's funny you said, I guess Lucas De Silva FaceTime one of the kids on the team, and I could hear. Yeah, it was funny. It was great. He FaceTime, and I was like, oh, so that sounds like Lucas back there. So I was like, I had to get up on the bus, and I had to go back there and talk to him, and I kind of gave him a little bit back. I say, hey man, you should have never doubted us. And
Absolutely.
he was laughing up, man. He's a good sport, and he's good to have listened to. He's a pretty cool guy. So
Yeah, again, the conversations were, the community, we all kind of butt heads and everything else. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go out and cheer for Jake Craps if he's on another team, or this kid or that
yeah,
kid or whatever. And the rivalries and the competition make all of us better.
that's right. That's right. It was great. It was a good time, man. And I'm proud of my guys. And we gotta get back to work and get ready, because I know that Cass is about to do the same thing. They're ready. They want some redemption, and rightfully so. So
Absolutely.
we got to get back to work, because it's not going to be easy the second time around either.
Congratulations, Coach. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, man.